Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. On to the trial. January 7th, 9:48 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1. Oh, I see. I guess I should have expected this. Nobody saw the other guy, huh? But he was there when I took the coffee over, sir. Scout's honor. Maggie! Ah, Detective Gumshoe! Now, are you doing alright? How are you feeling? As if you need to ask either question, sir. Don't let him get you down, Maggie. And don't forget to eat well, okay? Roger! And you! Yes? You'd better square this case away, got it, pal? Maggie's innocent, you hear? If you screw up, then I'll be doing some squaring away myself. Squaring away some paperwork for your arrest. I think he's serious. Hey, detective, you're on our side for once, right? Yep. You'll be able to help Maggie out, right? Really? Can you, sir? Of course! I've got the situation under control. I'm gonna be the first witness on the stand today. If something I say doesn't mesh with the facts, make sure you point it out, alright? Sure. Okay, we're forming a united front today, pal. You got me? I can't tell you how grateful I am, sir. I always admired you so much, detective. I know I can count on you. Looks like it should all go pretty smoothly today, huh? I can only wish. January 7th, 10 a.m., District Court, courtroom at number 4. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Bitter. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? Well, what's wrong? Nothing. It's just whenever I addressed you in the previous trial, your response was, you was talking to me? I was a little while intimidating. It was a little while intimidating. No, that wasn't me. That was the phony Phoenix. I see. So our trusty Phoenix Wright is back with us now, is he? Our trusty? So, Mr. Godot, your opening statement, please. Mr. Trite, whether you're a fake or the real deal, we will find out soon enough through this trial today. But I can already tell you, I'm the real Phoenix Wright. I wasn't questioning whether you were Phoenix Wright or not. I was questioning whether you had studied law or not. That's what I intend to find out. There's no denying it. Behind that mask is a man who really hates me for some reason or another. As everyone is aware, the court has already given its verdict on this case once. Therefore, I won't stand for irrelevant testimony during this retrial. Nor will I stand for a simple repetition of the evidence presented in the last trial. I'm not planning on repeating anything that phony me said, trust me. Now then, Mr. Godot, please summon your first witness. Let's start with the formalities, shall we? Name and occupation. Witness, state your name for the court. Huh? Oh, sorry, sir. The name's Police Department Detective. Occupation, Dick Gumshoe. Other way around, Detective. Huh? Oh, sorry. Anyway, I'm the officer in charge of this case since yesterday, sir. Since yesterday? Yeah, the guy who was on the initial investigation is tied up with another case now. I hope Gumshoe's really got everything under control, for everyone's sake. I see. So, Detective Gumshoe, would you outline for the court the basic facts of the case? Yes, sir. The victim's name was Glenn Elg. He was a professional programmer. He was on the payroll of Blue Screens Incorporated, a local company. This is the victim's autopsy report. Court accepts this into evidence. Died of potassium cyanide poisoning. Time of death was between 1:30 and 2:30 p.m. And here are the floor plans of the restaurant. When the incident took place, the victim was sitting right here. The poisoned coffee was brought to him by the waitress. Waitress being the accused. Yeah. The victim died from poisoning almost immediately after he took a sip of the coffee. At the time of the incident, there were 2 other people in the restaurant. Mr. Jean Armstrong, the owner and chef, and a regular by the name of Mr. Victor Kudo. Still seems to be a very straightforward case to me. Blueprints for the victim's scene. X is the victim's seat. Come, detective. Take up this hammer. Okay. The enter here. I'm pretty sure I remember the mystery that is put forth in this trial. And nail the defendant's coffin shut with your own 2 hands. Now then, Detective Gumshoe, let's have your testimony. Yes, sir. The incident. Oh, when the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table, sir. We understand that the guy, Glenn Elg, was listening to the radio at the time. Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup, and what we found was potassium cyanide. That stuff really packs a punch. And, it looks like Mr. Bird might have had, well, some kind of motive. Using the dark, aromatic depths of coffee to conceal the poison. Classy lady. Facts of this case seem to be ironclad. Mr. Wright, I would ask you to begin your cross-examination, but... Yes? Please, no intimidation tricks this time around. Is that understood? I already told you that wasn't me. The incident. Oh, when the incident took place, the victim was alone at his table, sir. Can I stop you for just a minute? What is it? Did I say something that contradicts the evidence? He's so desperate for that to be true, he's practically crying. Your testimony just now doesn't match the testimony given by Miss Bird. She claims that there was another man at the victim's table. Yeah, that's what she said, and I... What killer wouldn't say that when faced with a homicide conviction? Hey, sadly, her testimony isn't supported by the owner or the other customer. Isn't that right, Detective Gumshoe? Yeah, it's true. Their 2 testimonies tie up on that. They both said that there was no other guy at the table. What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Well, maybe the other witnesses just missed him. Perhaps their view of the victim's table was obscured in some way. That argument is as weak as the coffee at Tribulations, Wright. I have here in my possession a ticket. A ticket? Looks like more of a photo to me. Yes, a one-way ticket to Guiltyville. Population the defendant. This is a photograph taken from near the entrance to the kitchen. This is the scene as witnessed by the this is the scene as witnessed by the chef moments after the poisoning took place. Correct. Moments after... Oh. That was the judge. Moments after the poisoning, correct? I think the court will agree that with such a clear view of the scene of the crime... How, Mr. Trite, could anyone have overlooked a second person at the table? It certainly seems to show the victim's table extremely clearly. Photo of the scene taken from near the kitchen. We understand the guy, Glenn Elg, was listening to the radio at the time. He was listening to his radio, you say? Yeah, he had a portable radio in his chest pocket. Maggie told us that too, didn't she? Something about how one of them had some sort of earpiece. What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? And what was it that the victim was listening to on the radio, Detective Gumshoe? How should I know? Thanks a lot. We're now one step closer to the middle of nowhere. This isn't going very well, is it? Detective, could you perhaps tell us about the poison and how it was used? Traces of poison were found in his coffee cup. So, traces of the poison were found in the coffee cup and nowhere else? Not sure I get you, pal. Was the poison a liquid, or was it a powder? If I had to put it in layman's terms, I'd say it was a powdery substance. So the poison could have been in anything that was on the table. Sugar, salt, pepper. Do you put salt and pepper in your coffee, Wright? The victim took his coffee black, with no sugar. Seems that the poison could only have been in the coffee. What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Are you absolutely certain that the victim even drank any of his coffee? What do you mean? According to this file, the poison was found in the victim's coffee cup. But what proof is there that the victim even drank any of it? Oh, hey, you're right. That's what I was thinking. In case you were wondering, that last objection was for the detective there. For me? Oh, hey, you're right. You may be fooling the court, but I'm not falling for it. If you have the time to waste, you have the time to present that piece of evidence. That piece, sir? Yes, that piece. What piece was it again? This! Should I be grateful this coffee's only hot enough to give me first-degree burns? Oh, now I remember. This is the, victim's coffee cup. Yes, the victim's cup. Take a good look at the rim. Oh yes, it's unmistakable. There's clearly a coffee stain on it. Conclusive proof that the victim did drink the poisoned coffee that was in his cup. The victim gulped down the bitter death that the waitress brought to him. Like this. For the record, the only prints on the cup were the victim's and the defendant's. The coffee contained potassium cyanide covered in the victim and Maggie's fingerprints. Upon further investigation of this cup, we found a certain chemical substance. And what we found was potassium cyanide. That stuff really packs a punch. Potassium cyanide? I've heard of that chemical before. Exactly how strong is this poison, Detective Gumshoe? It's, well, that stuff's lethal. Lethal. Eat too much and your history. How much is too much? A lethal dose is 0.2 grams. It's about enough to finish anyone off. 0.2 grams? How much is that? You know when you swab your ears for earwax? Yeah, about that much. Earwax, huh? Sounds like something Gumshoe's got an abundance of. Such a small quantity of poison could have been concealed anywhere. And, it looks like Miss Bird might have had, well, some kind of motive. Some kind of motive? Yeah, but if you ask me, it's been blown way out of proportion. You know what my golden rule is, Detective. Chuck out a bad cup of coffee. You can always get another. Huh? I don't get it. I'm saying we can always get another witness on the stand if we have to chuck you out. Uh-oh. So stick to the facts, Detective. Now then, what was Miss Bird's motive? Come on, Gumshoe. She was, they said she wanted to steal a lottery ticket. I knew it. That's what we heard yesterday, too. It disappeared from the scene of the crime. And it wasn't just any lottery ticket. It was a winning ticket for $500,000. Mr. Armstrong knew about the ticket too, didn't he? But he stole the wrong one. Then, is it possible Maggie stole the winning one? What should I do? Should I press on this point a little harder or not? Wait a minute. The mere fact that the lottery ticket disappeared in no way implicates my client. I have here in my hand the very ticket in question. That's That's a $500,000 lottery ticket? One of the female police officers found it when she was conducting a search of the defendant. What? Order! Order! She's quite a lucky bird, our little waitress. You will submit that ticket as evidence to the court immediately! Better keep an eye on that ticket. The way the judge's voice is quivering. A winning ticket for $500,000, found during a body search of Maggie. This ticket was presented to the court in the previous trial, too. But it feels heavier now, somehow. But $500,000, you say? Just a scrap of paper. What matters is where it was found, Your Honor. And that's on Maggie's person, unfortunately. That's enough. The facts of this case seem overwhelmingly clear to me. The defendant had ample opportunity to commit the crime of which he was charged. Furthermore, it seems beyond reasonable doubt that she did indeed commit this crime. I like an old man who knows the score. There's also the matter of the $500,000 lottery ticket. That alone provides a very credible motive. I mean, for that sum of money, even I might be tempted to bend the rules. I don't mind an old man who is weak to the siren call of money. No, not good, Nick. The evidence against Maggie is starting to pile up fast. Yeah, that's because the court has ruled guilty once already. I'd say it's about time to wrap up this repeat performance. With one final decisive piece of evidence. He's got more evidence against Maggie? This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. Wow, that's not the cleanest apron I've seen. That stain looks like... It can't be blood, can it? Ha! Seems the star of our play was a little flustered. And somehow spilled coffee on herself. The coffee? That's not exactly the first thing that caught my eye. Of course. Coffee stain isn't the most interesting thing about this apron. No, something else that stands out even more. Something else? I presume you mean... Of course. I'm referring to the pocket. The... pocket? A search carried out right after the incident uncovered this. Potassium cyanide. The very poison used by the killer was in her apron pocket. A bottle of poison in Maggie's pocket? Yeah, and Maggie's prints were the only ones on it. What? Order! 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 The court will accept these items into evidence. Worn by Maggie at the time of the incident, has a small pocket but big stains. A deadly powdery poison bears Maggie's fingerprints, found in her apron pocket. There's something still bothering me. Mr. Godot, why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-covered stain that's smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You don't need to be told. Just look at it. Well, detective, could this stain really be blood? No way, sir. That's, it's just ketchup, sir. Ketchup? She must have gotten some on her apron while taking someone their breakfast that day. You could have spoken up a little sooner, Detective Gumshoe. Pull a stunt like that again, and it'll have you drink 17 cups of ketchup, witness. I thought everyone knew that it was already. I haven't seen anything yet to make me doubt the last ruling I made on this case. The motive, the opportunity, and the supporting evidence, they have all been clearly established. Well, Trite, seems you really are a phony after all. You really know how to drive a man nuts. Witness, please continue with your testimony. Describe for the court the crime scene and the findings of your investigation there. The investigation. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. It must have been real tough for her. The victim didn't have any identification on him, but we figured out who it was pretty quick, and then the investigation went smoothly. When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket in the bottle of poison, and that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. You identified the victim and secured your prime suspect. Very good. Last chance to convict the court. You're a real lawyer, Trite. Don't count on any more cross-examinations after this one. So let the fun begin.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir.
Scary old man, Detective Gumshoe?
There's an old man who's a regular at the restaurant where the incident happened.
Ah, we're obviously talking about the same old man.
Officers were dispatched right after the report came in, but the old guy still made a fuss. What took you so long? And then he hurled abuse at them in seeds.
Seeds. It was nothing. I caught each of them, each one with my teeth. I guess not even the mighty Godot can avoid being attacked by that guy. The old man was the only other customer in the place at the time. He took his time finding a payphone, apparently, so he was late reporting the crime.
And poor Maggie had passed out from the shock. Must have been real tough for her.
How long was the defendant unconscious for?
And the officers got to the crime scene at around 2:40. Maggie was still out cold in the kitchen at that time. It took another 10 minutes or so before she came to. I would have liked to have been on the scene myself.
I bet you would have liked to have carried out the search, too.
I would have loved to see Maggie asleep like that, all pretty and peaceful.
You're a professional detective, not a professional bird watcher. Save the romantics for your own time, detective. All we need to know about is the investigation.
Oops. Guess I'm pretty red right now, aren't I? The victim didn't have any identification on him.
He didn't have any? Are you saying that it was stolen, then?
No, I don't think so. The victim didn't have a driver's license or even a credit card on him, pal. All he had was 58 cents in his wallet.
58 cents?
Yeah, I can't believe I found someone with less in their wallet than me, pal.
The victim sounds like he was a thoroughly miserable young man. Or some kind of outlaw. Why not give him a bit of an edge?
I think I'm onto something here. But we figured out who he was pretty quick, and then the investigation went smoothly.
Wait a sec.
Did I say something dumb again?
Let me paraphrase what you just testified to this court. The victim didn't have any form of ID on him. That's basically what you said, yes?
Yeah, basically.
In that case, how were you able to identify the victim so quickly?
Oh, that.
He's so let down. He's got the whole sagging shoulder and puppy eye thing going.
And there was a prescription bag on the victim's table along with a lottery ticket.
Seems like Mr. Glenn Elg visited his doctor before he went to Tribulations.
And we got the victim's name from the medical record of the doc who prescribed the meds.
That's a reliable enough source for the court. What should I do? Should I leave this alone or ask to hear more?
I'm so...
So, the victim had no form of identification on him, correct?
Yeah.
And yet, before arriving at a restaurant, he went to see a doctor. Which means, he must have had his medical insurance card with him.
Oh, that is very true.
The fact that it hasn't been found points to only one obvious conclusion. The victim's medical card was stolen. True, the victim didn't have a medical insurance card. But why? Because Mr. Glenn Elg didn't have medical insurance to begin with. Huh? As I thought, a thoroughly miserable young man. Some kind of outlaw. Bit of an edge, never hurt anyone.
Looks like we're off course again, Nick.
Witness, please continue with your testimony. Explain for the court the events following the preliminary investigation. So what sort of medicine was in the bag?
Well, actually, the bag we found was empty.
Huh?
Yeah, completely empty.
It was completely empty?
Victim got this from the doctor before going to Tribulations. The bag is empty. You're entering an empty paper bag as evidence? Desperate, are you, Trite? Now, what happened with the investigation after that, detective? When Maggie was searched, we found the lottery ticket and the bottle of poison. But the defendant had been passed out for a while, correct? In that case, isn't it possible someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? Hey, yeah, you've nailed it, pal. It happens to me all the time. We had a department party the other day, and when I got home, I was wearing the boss's shoes. Keep up this crazy testimony, detective, and those shoes will end up down your throat. Sorry. So, Trite, someone planted the evidence in Maggie's pocket? That's a pretty bold statement. Care to back it up with some evidence? Well, I'd love to if I had any. It appears you have no evidence to support your theory, Mr. Wright. Continue with your testimony, witness. And that was it. There was nothing else missing from the crime scene. So the $500,000 lottery ticket and the bottle of poison were accounted for. Yeah, interesting. It's true that those two items are accounted for, but wasn't there another lottery ticket that was stolen that day? Oh, yeah, the one the restaurant owner took. You won a whole dollar with it. What a lucky guy, huh? And they're just going to let him get away with it? It was just $1, detective. I guess no one cares when it's that little, except for Gumshoe. If I don't find a hole in his testimony, the judge is going to hand down his verdict. Gumshoe isn't giving us anything to work with. And we can't find any contradictions if he doesn't give us something. Yeah, that's true. But Maggie and Gumshoe are like Dumb and Dumber. Our only hope is that were so dumb they missed something obvious. Come on, Gumshoe, be the dumbest you've ever been. There was nothing missing from the crime scene. Nothing else missing. Nothing at all. Detective Gumshoe, I think I should point something out to you. There is just one small contradiction in your testimony. Oh, finally! I'm getting all anxious just waiting, so hurry up, will you? You testified that nothing else was missing for the crime scene. However, the prescription bag you mentioned was empty. Did the officers recover the medicine for the scene of the crime later? No, they didn't. The victim was given a prescription right before going to Tribulations. Where, then, did this medicine disappear to? You are too cool, pal! Indeed. Due consideration wasn't given to the victim's prescription in the previous trial. Witness, why do you always overlook such vital pieces of evidence? I guess that's the most careless thing I've done so far, huh? The victim was killed by poison, and the victim's medicine mysteriously disappeared. The victim's own prescription could have been the lethal poison itself. Order! Order! Well, Mr. Godot, what do you have to say to that? That's all. What? Read for the court the name of the clinic on the prescription bag, if you will. What's the clinic's name got to do with anything? New Ear Otolarian Gallological Clinic. I don't... Good luck. And just what kind of illness was the victim suffering from, Mr. Godot? Hardly an illness, Your Honor. More like a bitter war wound, you could say. A war wound? The day before the incident, Mr. Elg found himself in a fight. He took a blow to the side of the head and ruptured his eardrum. He ruptured his eardrum? And what on earth was the prescription he was given? It was a cream that was to be applied topically inside his ear canal, not to be ingested. What? It's mentioned in the autopsy report if you read the fine print. They found traces of the medication in the victim's left ear. Yes, here it is, in very, very fine print. Seems Mr. L correctly applied some of the medication while he was at Tribulations.
Therefore, it would be absurd to believe that he would have eaten his medication. Seems that this medication is irrelevant to the case after all. No.
Nick, if you don't think of something quick, it'll all be over.
She's right. But I can't get away with any old weak objection. What should I do? Only moments ago, Mr. Godot made the following statement. Seems Mr. L correctly applied some of the medication while he was at Tribulations. If that's the case, then why was the medication not found at the scene of the crime? But the medication in question was for topical use inside the ear canal. That doesn't change the fact that it could not be found at the crime scene. However insignificant it may seem, it's a lawyer's duty to pursue the truth. You know as well as I do that the medication is irrelevant. It hardly seems likely that a prescription drug would contain potassium cyanide. It hardly seems likely that the coffee the waitress served would contain it either. But it did. The possibility is undeniable. That's enough. Mr. Godot, is the detective the only witness the prosecution wishes to call? Mr. Godot.
I've got my own witness I'd like to call, sir. It's the old man who was there in the restaurant on the day of the murder.
Mr. Kudos, the pigeon hater? Very well. The matter of the disappearing medication seems little more than trivial at best. However, it wasn't explored at all in the previous trial, and that is something that bothers me.
Yay! Good job, Nick.
The court will adjourn for a 10-minute recess, after which we will hear the prosecution's next witness. I suppose this means I'll just have to finish you off in my last sex cups. Court is adjourned for recess. January 7th, 11:03 a.m.
Phew! That was close.
Tell me about it. Nearly died in there.
That's my line, sir! No, it's my line! I think I already did die a little bit. Looks like we all nearly died in there. I can't believe Detective Gumshoe! How can he betray us like that? Huh? He said he'd help me. But he totally set me up.
I don't think he meant to do that, Maggie. He was backed into a corner. I mean, the guy's got to do his job, right?
It's okay. I know all about lies and betrayal. I've had them my whole life. But it really hurts this time. Felt like someone punched me hard in the stomach. I hate that guy. I don't ever want to see him again.
Poor Gumshoe.
So the next witness is going to be the old guy from the park, right?
Yeah, Mr. Kudos, lover of waitress outfits and projectile seeds.
Bet he's going to be real stubborn. I mean, he's pretty set in his ways, you know. Yeah, he's a big old grouch. Are you going to be able to handle him, Nick?
Yeah, I can take whatever he throws at me. Even those never-ending bird seeds. They are never-ending. For some reason. January 7th, 11:15 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Maggie Bird. Mr. Godot, your next witness, please. The prosecution calls the lucky old-timer who caught the show over a cup of coffee. Will the witness please take the stand? Name and occupation, if you don't mind.
Inspector Kudos, born and raised in the land of the rising sun. Honor and duty are what make me. Mind you, I can be quite emotional at times, too.
You don't need to hear about that, Mr. Kudos. Just tell the court your occupation.
My occupation? Listen, young'uns, how much call do you think that there is for kimono embroidery here?
Kimono embroidery?
That's what I do, or did back in Japan. I've embroidered family crests on kimonos. My ancestors were embroidering kimonos before this country even existed.
Wow, a real craftsman. They're a dying breed. Hey, maybe you could embroider my costume sometime.
Anyway, like I said, there's not much demand for that kind of thing here. So I had to take a job working the cash register at a burger joint, pretending to smile.
That burger joint would have been better off putting him in the kitchen. Now then, witness. were you in the restaurant at the time of the incident?
Oh, yes. I was eating some seeds over a cup of Javachino.
Seeds?
What do you think these are,
I see. So you saw everything that happened, Gramps.
Did I? No, yes, I did. I saw it.
Then please tell the court. We're all ears.
Sure. I'll tell you every last detail.
He's really getting into this. What I witnessed.
Young man was reading the sports paper. The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. Man took one sip of it. Looked like he was in terrible pain and then collapsed. That's the serving girl, right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
Mr. Kudo, she is not a serving girl. Please refer to her as a waitress.
You're as bad as the rest of them. All these newfangled words. What's wrong with old-fashioned ones,
Newfangled?
All this talk of radios and glasses. It's wireless and spectacles, I tell you.
Excuse me.
Listen to me, everyone. Don't forget the old values. Don't let the good old days slip away.
Well, I think it's time to begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. What I witnessed.
The young man was reading the sports paper.
So you saw the victim, then? You saw Mr. Glenn Elg?
I wanted to know if Gusten Braun retained his championship or not.
So he was looking at the sports paper the victim was reading, huh? And at the location in question? There are partitions between tables on the same side of the restaurant, right?
So what if there are?
If you say that you could see the victim, that means you were sitting at a table on the other side of the restaurant, correct?
I go to that place to drink Javachino. I don't go to sit. I don't remember which table I was sitting at.
You mean you go there to eye the waitress?
The serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it.
Mr. Kudo, it is a very grave accusation. Are you sure about what you saw?
Victor Kudo never makes mistakes. I dot every T and cross every I.
I see.
My eyesight's fine. Doctor said I only need spectacles for reading and driving.
I bet his eyes are only really fine when he's scoping out a waitress.
And I saw what the serving girl put into the Javachino as well.
I bet I know what's coming up, and something tells me I'm not gonna like it. Your Honor, we need more clarification on what was put into the victim's coffee. I'd like to ask that the witness add what he knows about this to his testimony. I agree. Witness, will you enlighten us, please?
Sure. There's no question about it. She very conspicuously put some white powder in there.
Did she really put that into the coffee?
You doubt me, boy. She took some out of a small brown bottle and sprinkled it in.
Couldn't she have been adding sugar?
Sugar? In a small brown bottle like that?
Like that? Witness, could you please describe the bottle in more concrete terms? A bottle like this, perhaps?
Oh, there it is. That's the one.
That's the bottle of potassium cyanide, I presume. So what did the accused put into the coffee? I think it's clear, don't you?
The man took one sip of it. It looked like he was in terrible pain and then collapsed.
He took just one sip?
You youngins, you waste everything. Those Javachinos cost $8. In the good old days, we would have drank every last drop, eaten the cup, and then died.
Congratulations. You have earned the title of fattiest man to grace a courtroom. So it was an immediate death. Well, with potassium cyanide, I suppose that is possible.
Oh, yes. He slumped over without so much as a twitch. I felt the Javachino I just drank turned sour in my stomach.
Oh, yes. I know that feeling. And the waitress, I presume she is...
That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
You said I remember her well in reference to the waitress. Did she have any particular feature that you could identify her by?
Particular features? It's a disgrace, that's what it is.
Sorry?
You can see all the way up you know, she's practically naked in that uniform.
So the particular feature you recognize about the waitress is her outfit? But anyone could wear just such a uniform, even me! Mr. Wright, please spare the court any further mental anguish from that image.
Don't get excited, Nick. You've got to keep yourself together.
I guess I got a bit carried away.
There's other things I recognized about her, too.
Seems pretty sure of himself. What should I do? Sure, you saw a waitress take the coffee over to the victim. But what matters is whether that waitress was Maggie Bird or not. Quite right. Mr. Kudo, these other features that you recognize about the defendant, I would ask you to add them to your testimony.
Sure. The ribbon in her hair and her apron straps were loose.
You do seem to remember several details about her appearance. But what about the most crucial detail of all? Her face.
As if I wouldn't remember that.
The witness noticed the straps on the accused apron. He's unlikely to make a mistake about her face.
That's right. I can even tell you the color of the ribbon in her hair. It was red.
So you see, there's nothing wrong with the witness's eyesight. There's no doubt he remembers the waitress pretty well. What should I do? I get the feeling there's something more to this somehow. Mr. Kudo, you seem especially interested in straps. Why is that?
What?
The ribbon in her hair, the straps in her apron. What's the fascination?
Fascination?
People have all kinds of fetishes, Trite. We don't need to embarrass the witness.
Listen, you young upstart. I don't got some sick strap fetish.
Is there any relevance to the witness's unusual love of straps, Mr. Wright? I was just curious as to why he was so fixated on the waitress's straps.
I said I haven't got a strap fetish. How many times do I have to repeat myself?
Very well. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Kudo. Make it strapless.
Do you think old Seedy really saw Maggie do it?
Well, he probably had his eyes on the waitress the whole time. That's why he was there.
But he was there for the cute outfits, right? Not the waitress.
I guess? She makes a good point, though.
Hey, did I just say something clever?
I wonder if the waitress Mr. Kudo saw really was Maggie.
That's what we have to figure out, Nick.
The identifying features you described are all things you would see from the back.
So what?
Is it possible that you never saw the waitress from the front at all? He's got you there, Gramps. People normally talk about facial features when they're just asked to describe someone. But this witness's testimony is nothing but straps and ribbons.
This is harassment. I'll tell you I'm not obsessed with straps and ribbons. I'm telling you what I saw.
Mr. Kudo, the court requests that you add details about any identifying features. Features you observed from the front, that is, to your testimony.
Sure.
This old man's testimony is getting longer and longer. But if I can't find a hole in it soon, it'll get even longer, I bet.
There wasn't anything that caught my interest about her when I saw her from the front.
You didn't find anything to be distinct? But you did clearly see the witness's face, yes?
No question about it. I didn't come this far to back down now. Victor Kudo never backs down.
Not the answer I was looking for, but okay.
This has turned into a matter of pride for old Seedy now, I guess. I wonder if he really did see Maggie's face or not.
Like I thought, we need some concrete proof of this. The old guy didn't see the waitress clearly from the front. Mr. Kudo, I would like you to please take a look at this.
That filthy thing would suit filth like you just perfectly. Actually, it reminds me of a grandson looks like after he's done eating.
Have you ever seen this before?
Of course I haven't. Do you think I'd forget something as dirty as that, hmm? Well, you half-witted clot. What? What is it? Ever since I said you half-witted clot, there's been an eerie silence in here.
Mr. Kudo, this apron is the apron worn by the defendant on the day of the poisoning. And as you just said yourself, you wouldn't forget something like this. Which means, if you had really seen this apron before... Yes, you know what I'm getting at. You couldn't have possibly seen the waitress from the front. Oops.
Witness! You can't just say oops. You can't just oops your way out of this.
Huh. Well, well. Looks like we finally have a genuine trial on our hands. Listen, Trite. Here are the facts. On the day of the incident, there was only one witness in the restaurant.
One waitress in the restaurant.
That being the defendant, Miss Maggie Bird.
Exactly. And when that one waitress put the poison into the coffee cup, this old guy was watching.
I hope you understand the gravity of the situation, Mr. Kudo. The fate of the defendant may rest on what you say you remember seeing.
Just tell the court exactly what you saw, Gramps.
You can rely on me, Captain. My noggin's in perfect working order. I can't remember a single occasion where I forgot what burger a customer wanted.
He can't remember? Probably more like he messed up so many times he's blocking it out.
Very well. Let's test just how good your memory and attention to detail is, Mr. Kudo. Tell us what you remember about the victim.
About the victim.
He was another one of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles. He had a newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy brat kept rustling his pages. The young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well. Then the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino. Little Fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip. The testimony we have just heard was to test how credible the witness's memory is. It seems to me that he remembers the victim in a great deal of detail. Oh, yes. I hate those you-know-what types who are so vague about everything.
How are we going to handle this, Nick?
We only need to do one thing. We just need to prove the old man's memory is shot.
Just trip him up, you mean? Isn't that kind of cruel?
I suppose, but it's what I do best. About the victim.
He was another one of those pesky young types wearing a broken pair of spectacles.
Hang on real quick.
Okay.
Spectacles?
Dark glasses to you. One of the lenses was green, but the other was broken. Newfangled rubbish. That's why I remember him so well.
He did have some kind of lens over his left eye, but I wouldn't have called it a pair of glasses.
Seems to have been wearing some rather modern-looking shades. Perhaps I should take to wearing some and rival Mr. Godot's sharp appearance.
We better come up with something sharp and quick.
Guess I'll wait and see if I could challenge him about the spectacles.
He had a newspaper in his right hand, and the noisy brat kept rustling his pages.
The newspaper was a sports paper, was it?
That young hooligan! I nearly asked him, can't you even read without fidgeting, How was I supposed to be able to read the back page with all that rustling going on? I needed to get it. I needed to find out if Guts and Brawn retained his championship title.
It was his paper, not yours. If you wanted to know so bad, why didn't you buy your own?
What are you looking at me like that for? How dare you judge me? Ow, ow!
Guts and Braun got beaten yesterday, by the way. Anyway.
A young man was listening to the wireless. I remember that well.
He's slowly becoming a pirate. The wireless.
The decadent young rascal. In my day, it was one or the other. Read the paper and listen to the wireless.
Oh boy.
I'm using an earpiece. It's selfish, that's what it is. I was straining my ears, but I couldn't catch any of it.
Was he that desperate to listen to the radio?
What are you looking at like me for, huh? How dare you feel sorry for me? Ow, ow. And the serving girl in question brought over the Javachino.
You mean the waitress who you only saw from behind, right?
You're one of those, are you?
I know what
you are. You never let anything go, isn't that right?
Maybe.
What does it matter if I saw her from front or behind? My eyes don't lie.
Better not push it until I've got some hard evidence.
Little fidget picked up the cup with his free hand and took a sip.
His free hand?
Yes.
Which hand was that?
Weren't you listening before, cloth ears? I said he was wrestling the newspaper with his right hand, didn't I? And his free hand wasn't his right hand. Which hand was it, you moron?
Perhaps the great Mr. Trite has 3 hands.
Yeesh, I was only asking. No need to gang up on me and treat me like a freak. The whole point of this cross-examination is to establish just one thing. This old guy's memory has more holes than a slice of Swiss. I guess we need to find a contradiction in his testimony somewhere, huh? Anything will do, even the smallest detail. We just need one mistake and he's ours. He had a newspaper in his right hand. Looks like the hand that was closest to the coffee is the right hand. Can I use this photo? I cannot. He had a newspaper in his right hand and a noisy brat kept rustling its pages. Rustling its pages? Can I show the sports paper? Because he was writing in it. Surely if he paid that much attention, he would have noticed him doodling. At least once. Damn it.
He was listening to the wireless. If I present the left eardrum... No. Damn it. Mr. Kudo, do you remember what you were told at the start of this testimony? That this was a way of testing the credibility of your memory?
I know. There's nothing wrong with my memory, I tell you, nothing. If I got anything wrong, I'll eat these seeds and sing the pigeon song.
Care to tell us where this is going, trite? According to Mr. Kudo, the victim was holding the paper in his right hand, while drinking coffee with his free hand, which would make that his left.
What is this, kindergarten?
But I would like the court to take a look at this. That's the cup the victim used, correct? Yes, and on the rim you'll see a mark left by the victim's lips. Yes, there's a stain left by the coffee. If you consider where that stain is, you'll clearly see that the victim was holding the cup in his right hand.
But how?
Well, Mr. Kudo, the court is waiting for your epic performance. You said you'd eat those seeds and sing the pigeon song.
Ah!
Mr. Kudo, I'm afraid this is simply not acceptable. I think the witness had better go back to the park where he...
Wait! If you think I'm going to stand here and listen to you tell me I'm mad, you're wrong. I don't care about that dirty coffee cup. I know what I saw.
You still insist on your testimony?
That young brat was holding the cup in his left hand. Oh yes, no question. I'm a good law-abiding citizen, I am. It's that dead young hot bot and you spiky-haired yahoo who are at fault.
Who, me? Thank you, old man. We've heard quite enough from you already.
Don't call me old man, old man. Been around 68 years I have. You can't ignore me. Listen to what I've got to say. Ow.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo, but... Sure, why not hear a little more? Mr. Godot? But this is my 16th cup of coffee. So this is your final stand.
Thank you, Captain. You can rely on Victor.
Left hand or right hand?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his spectacles. Fiddling with it all the time. He was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup, too. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup in his left hand.
We know that the victim was wearing an unusual monocle over his left eye. Wasn't a monocle, Your Honor. It was a small computer monitor often used by programmers. A monitor? You mean like a television screen? The inside of the lens is a screen that displays computer data. It's called an HMD, a common tool in the victim's line of work.
HD TV, DVD, CD, all these newfangled letters drive me mad. But they don't matter. I know what I saw, and I'm telling the truth.
It's true, he doesn't seem to be lying.
And those are the facts in good old black and white.
Left hand or right hand?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs.
The victim was wearing an HMD.
HDD, CD, DVD, what does it matter?
It was none of them, actually, but anyway. And you're sure that he was wearing the earpiece on the same side?
No question. I could only see what side of his head. That side of his head from where I was sitting.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious if you look at the floor plans. From the opposite table, he'd only have a view of the side of the victim's head.
He kept fiddling with it all the time.
Seems you kept an eye on Mr. Glenn Elk.
He was getting on my nerves, wrestling that paper and fiddling with his earpiece all the time. And then he went and made all that fuss dying from one sip of Javachino. I wanted to say to him, calm down, you young brat. Just looking at him made me suddenly speed up my seed eating. I could have choked.
So I take it the victim was a walking ball of nervous energy.
He was fiddling with it just before he picked up the cup, too.
The earpiece you mentioned, which hand did the victim touch it with?
You're one of those people, aren't you? You're the type that uses your left hand to get things out of your right pocket. Or fasten your left cuff with your right hand. And when the tour guide says on your right side, you'll see the famous blah blah. You're the only one who deliberately looks left, well, aren't you?
No, I didn't mean...
Obviously, he used the hand on the same side of his body that the earpiece was in. Ow, ow, ow!
So if he had the HMD on his left side, then it was his left hand, I guess.
And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand.
You seem very sure of yourself, Mr. Kudo.
That's because I know what I saw, no matter what tricks you try to play on me.
Looks like he really did see the guy picking the coffee cup up with his left hand. This is the dead end.
Well, Nick, what do you think?
I think the guy's telling the truth. But even so, something's not quite right.
Then chuck evidence at him until he breaks.
But if he's not lying, there wouldn't be any contradictions in his testimony, right?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his spec.
I'm not sure what the relevance of this is, but... Mr. Kudo, there is something very strange about your observations of the victim.
What?
You say that he was wearing the earpiece on the same side of his HMD.
No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. I could only see that side of his head from where I was sitting.
I don't think so.
What did you say?
You're no doubt aware of this fact, Mr. Kudo. But the victim couldn't hear from his left ear. His eardrum was ruptured. Traces of medication for his condition were found in his ear canal. That's right. It's impossible that the victim was wearing his earpiece in his left ear, because he couldn't even hear in that ear.
Is that true, Captain?
It is.
Pigeon! Pretty pigeon!
Order! 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 This witness's testimony is completely unreliable. He only saw the waitress from behind. And he claims the victim was wearing an earpiece when we know his eardrum was ruptured. Well, Mr. Godot? A single drop of milk is all it takes to destroy the pure black magic in the cup. This old man is my drop of milk.
Captain, are you calling me a drip?
This is the victim's coffee cup in which the potassium cyanide was found. The mark on the rim clearly shows that the victim picked it up with his right hand.
I'll never back down, I know I'm right. The lad drank his cappuccino with his left hand.
Let me put you out of your misery. Clearly, the victim used both hands. He took a sip with the cup held in his right hand, and then he switched to his left. That's what the old man saw. Impossible. The witness had already testified on numerous occasions that the victim died immediately after taking just one sip of the coffee. Which hand the victim used to pick up his cup is irrelevant, Your Honor. The facts still stand. One hand or the other, Mr. L drank the poisoned cup. Like this. Sadly, Mr. Godot, that doesn't wash. The point of this testimony was to establish whether the witness's memory is credible. And the results are clear. The testimony given by this witness is useless. I believe it is time to conclude today's proceedings. I am satisfied that the witness is not deceiving the court. But, to be frank, his testimony is a farce.
Did you have to be so frank? Take that, you pompous old foggy.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo. You can't reach me from there. I'm ordering the defense and the prosecution to investigate this case further. That is all for now. This court is adjourned.
Wait! If we stop now, where does that leave me?
Leave you, Mr. Kudo.
Thanks to that blue-suited young upstart there. I'm just a bumbling old man who can't even dot his T's or cross his I's now.
How is your bad memory my fault? I'm sorry, Mr. Kudo, but there's nothing I can do.
I've kept my mouth shut until now. But there's something else the court should know.
What? There's more?
To be perfectly honest, it might not be anything. But I want another chance. I want another crack at you, you young shark.
Me? He's looking at me like I'm some sort of evil shogun.
Well, everyone, what do you say to one final showdown? The final chapter in this eccentric old man's scrapbook.
Sorry, Gramps. I've already had my 17th cup of coffee.
What have you got to lose, Captain? I'll give you all the Javachino you want if you come to my house after the trial. I may be 68 years old, but Victor Kudo is still a man.
That's enough, witness. I believe it will be quicker for the court to just hear your testimony.
You bet. Much, much quicker.
Can't believe this is happening.
You better get ready, youngster.
I get the picture. Just quit throwing those seeds at me, would you? It's gotta be using some sort of infinite ammo code with that box of seeds. The final showdown.
First of all, I want to stress that this might be nothing. I'm not too sure of it myself. Young boy slumped over the table as soon as he took one sip of his Javachino. Well, the clumsy idiot upset the vase. He knocked it right over. It broke, and the strip of cloth covering the table got completely soaked. Well, how about that? Turned things upside down now. Upside down,
Is that all?
Yes, that's all. I remember it perfectly. You're doubting me again. You're doubting a poor, defenseless old man.
No, we are not doubting you, Mr. Kudo.
Don't you get the feeling there's a question hanging on everyone's lips, Nick?
Yeah. So what, probably?
That's all I can think of, and I have to cross-examine this guy.
You're a bird brain, that's why. That's why that's all you can think of.
Very well. Mr. Wright, your final cross-examination, please.
First of all, I want to stress that this might be nothing. I'm not too sure myself.
The court generally prefers if witnesses are sure of themselves, Mr. Kudo.
Noisy brat. I'm warning you, I'm more savage than a macho man right now. You might beat me with this you won't beat me with this testimony. This is the final battle.
Ow, ow! He's chucking those seeds harder than ever. I better be careful.
Come on, Nick. Nail him.
That young boy slumped over the table as soon as he took one sip of his Javachino.
The court has already heard that testimony, Mr. Kudo.
I know that. I'm just setting the mood. How else am I supposed to build up the suspense,
The suspense?
Yes. Now, what do you think? Should I work the audience a bit more?
No. Please continue, Mr. Kudo, as quickly as possible.
All right. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. The young boy slumped over the table, and... well, the clumsy idiot upset the vase. Knocked it right over.
A vase, you say?
Yes. There are vases on all the tables in that place. There are accidents waiting to happen. They're practically begging to be knocked over.
Well, he's right about there being vases. I do remember seeing them too. There was a vase on the table when I ate lunch there. And you saw the moment when the victim actually knocked over the vase?
Well, it's hard to say. It's a bit unclear. How do you really define?
Okay, I get it.
I heard it break, and the sight of it burned into my memory as clear as day. It broke, and the strip of the cloth covering the table got completely soaked.
Soaked in water, you mean?
Yes, it splashed me on the knee as well.
You said you were sitting at a table across the room from the victim, correct? And yet the water still managed to splash onto you?
It was cold. I clearly remember it splashing on me.
Did the water really make it all the way across to the other side of the room?
Well, how about that? Turn things upside down,
You mean the vase on the victim's table falling upside down and breaking?
The vase turned upside down, and my testimony's turning this case upside down. It's a joke. I just wanted everyone to hear it. What do you think, Captain?
I'm impressed by your ability to waste time. Godot hasn't raised any objections for a while now.
So you don't show off with that scrap of information. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. If I lose this one, I'll take it like a man and admit defeat.
He's really giving you the evil eye, Maya.
It's you he's looking at, Nick, not me. It's like he's saying I triple dog dare you to find a contradiction, youngin'.
I guess I'll just have to rise to the challenge then. Yeah. Mr. Kudo, this is a photograph of the crime scene.
So what?
Look carefully at the table. The vase in there. Intact. Lost your tongue, Granddad?
I'm no granddad of yours, hopscotch.
Ow, ow! Enough! If you throw any more seeds in this courtroom, the cleaners will be here all night.
Ah!
What is it now?
I just remembered something.
Yes? Go on.
The broken vase. It was on my table.
What?
Ah, well, you see. It startled me when that young lad collapsed. So I stood up. That must have been when it fell over. The vase on my table, I mean.
The vase on your table?
Yes, it was on my table. And that's how my groin came to be completely soaked.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kudo. You've certainly earned your kudos for today.
I'd like to ask a question now. Have I been any use at all?
Perhaps that's something you should reflect on yourself, Mr. Kudo.
Wait a minute. If that's the case, there's more. I've got more to say. Oh, yes, I remember something else.
Bailiff, escort the witness out of the courtroom.
Wait, listen to me.
Well, you seem to have been considerably sidetracked, and I am still not in a position to deliver a verdict. The defendant has not been positively identified as the waitress in question. Additionally, there are two disparities in the testimony we have heard thus far. The mark on the coffee cup the victim supposedly drank from his left hand, and the earpiece, which was inserted into his left ear, out of which he couldn't hear.
Wow, Nick, you did it!
I therefore require both the defense and the prosecution to further investigate the facts. Yes, Your Honor. There is one more thing before I call today's session to an end. One more thing, Your Honor? The witness we just heard from. He is most insistent that his testimony should be of use. So he surmised it accordingly into the statement. Okay. You may each have a copy of it if you wish. Whatever. Prosecution doesn't need props like that.
Godot's really mad, huh?
Yeah, I would be too. Very well. Here you are then, Mr. Wright. There are 3 copies. My own, yours, and Mr. Godot's. Yes, Your Honor.
When the incident occurred, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry? This isn't a piece of testimony, more like a 5-year-old's apology. What the heck are we supposed to do with 3 copies? That was all. This court is adjourned. I'm sorry. Okay. Alright, yeah, I'm in a good mood now. Woo! I'm sorry. Okay. That was a pretty short trial. Okay. I know where this is going. I thought the revelation would occur in this trial, but it's going to be the second trial that it occurs. But I think, at the very least, for the most part, Victor Kudos' testimony is actually correct. Like, from Victor's perspective, it is actually correct. There is something that is revealed later on that shows how he was able, or why he thought he drank from his left hand and the earpiece was in his left hand. So, there is a reason behind that. So, yeah, there we go. But yeah, that is going to be it for now. Next time, third part of the investigation, more of the doppelganger, as well as a new area that, 2 new areas, I think. Yeah, 2 new areas that we'll get to explore. That's all. Thank you all for watching, especially if you got this far, and stick around, because there's a lot more to come.